the chair now recognizes the chairwoman of the whole committee, Chair Rogers, for 5 minutes for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Mills, how green are wind, solar, and batteries when compared to traditional energy resources that power America's economy? And does China abide by the same environmental standards that we do?
Well, Madam Chairman, we know that China does not abide by the same standards. And as we also know, it's relevant for the record, the EIA has made a forecast of the CO2 emissions reductions with respect to that one feature of environment that will arise under ideal conditions of fully spending all the IRA money and all the Investment Infrastructure Act money. If all of it is spent as planned and expected, it reduces U.S. CO2 emissions by a gigaton. For the record, China will increase its CO2 emissions by that amount every 2 years for the next decade. So China's expansion in coal wipes out the next 10 years of U.S. CO2 emissions reductions. The green label, of course, is meant to refer to only carbon dioxide, as we all know. But green used to mean land use, toxic chemicals, air pollution of all kinds, and water pollution. In those metrics, there's nothing different about renewable machines, wind, solar, and battery, than any other kind of machines, except they produce far more negative impacts on the environment in aggregate than producing the same amount of energy from hydrocarbon machines.
Thank you. Mr. Simmons, a group of us recently traveled to Europe, and we saw how similar rush to green policies harm the security of European countries, shutting down coal, nuclear, supporting a Nord Stream 2 pipeline from Russia for their oil and natural gas, and then Russia weaponized that energy against them. I don't want to see that happen in America, and I'm concerned that the current approach by the Biden administration will, in their rush to green, strengthen China and weaken America's energy security. As the former Assistant Secretary for DOE's Office of Energy Efficiency and Renewable Energy, you have firsthand experience with the deployment of renewables and batteries for electric vehicles in the electric grid. What are you most concerned about with the Biden administration's timelines and targets to electrify and decarbon the economy? Do you believe that the administration has adequate framework to balance the environmental, human rights, and national security risk of climate-related policies?
I am not aware that they have a framework that balances that. I mean, if you look at the statements from, say, Climate Envoy Kerry, I haven't seen any balancing that the administration is focused on. To Ranking Member Tonko's point, are these mandates? And generally, they are not mandates technically, but they are de facto mandates when it comes to mandating massive amounts of EVs, because that's the only way you can meet EPA's upcoming GHG regulations for vehicles. And the problem is that those raw materials are currently dependent on Chinese supply chains, and not just like, we're not really talking about necessarily battery packs. We're talking about the lithium, the cobalt, the nickel, everything that goes into the battery packs. Those are all dependent on Chinese supply chain, and that will not change for years, no matter how many dollars are in the IRA. So I have serious concerns because I don't see a real framework from the administration at looking at all these issues.
Thank you. Mr. Nunes, I've heard from some car companies that the amount of raw materials in a large, fully electric car battery could be used to produce dozens of hybrid cars. If that is true, wouldn't hybrids reduce the battery supply chain's risk that all electric cars are subject to?
Congresswoman, if you look at the total amount of minerals that are used in an electric vehicle battery pack, they are orders of magnitude above the volume of minerals you would need in a hybrid electric vehicle battery pack. So the simple answer to your question is yes, you would be able to build out multiple hybrid electric vehicle batteries from a single EV battery.
So wouldn't a hybrid vehicle be a better way to save money and reduce overall emissions?
I think if you look at the numbers, a hybrid electric vehicle typically costs about 12% more than an internal combustion engine and emits about 25% less carbon dioxide. An EV typically costs you between 40 to 50% more than an internal combustion engine and is about 40% less polluting. In terms of your dollar value, hybrid electric vehicles offer you the most bang for your buck when it comes to emissions reductions.
So why isn't the administration encouraging hybrid?
I'm not authorized to speak on, on behalf of the administration. So.
Okay, I just thought I would ask. Anyone else? Anyway, I'll yield back. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
The gentlelady yields back. We now recognize